Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a final hot take on the rest of the news that isn't about the beer virus. Everything's beer virus today. I don't know why. Um, so, so many stories about the beer virus. First, if you haven't seen this video of the attack of an Asian man on a New York subway, it's pretty vicious. I wouldn't recommend you watching it, but it's pretty vicious. And, you're probably not going to see it in regular media because they got a narrative to protect, and this, of course, breaks their narrative. Maxine Waters. Police believe their job is to, quote, keep black people in their place, according to law officer. Yeah, Maxine Waters, she says a bunch of crazy crap. I wouldn't give her any credence, wouldn't give her any attention whatsoever. A lot of people, whether they're politicians or just musicians and actors or whatever, they really just crave the spotlight because it helps them do whatever it is they're working on. Just don't give it to them if you can help it. 911 dispatcher testifies officer pinned down George Floyd for so long she thought her video feed had frozen. Ooh, that doesn't look good. Of course, that's from NBC News, so NBC News has become so woke, in my opinion. They're just not a real reliable news source. It keeps coming up on the Gab feed, though. I think that's partly why. I think it's partly people posting just to say, "Oh, look at these a-holes." Megan Rapinoe, she was the woman who was on the female soccer team. I guess it was the Olympic team or whatever. For some reason, this woman is back in the news crying about equal pay. I don't know how many times it has been explained, but I'll explain it again. See, the pay gap doesn't exist. The issue is this: women bail out on their lives whenever they shack up with a man and get pregnant because they can. I kind of can't blame them. It's a pretty good deal. You don't have to work and you can sit at home and take care of your kid. And yeah, you have to take care of the kid. Maybe you have to clean up a little bit, but it's still a lot better than work. I would say. That would be my guess. But when women do that, they don't work and their career stops and they make no money during that time. And even if they pick up where they left off, they make less money. So when they talk about the pay gap, what feminists do is they will look at the straight up number of the number that gets paid, right? So say you got a guy who's making 50K a year and a woman who's making 50K a year. Well, a woman who makes 50K a year leaves for 2 years to have a baby and raise her kid. She loses out on $100,000 worth of salary. The man does not, because he works all the way through that pregnancy. That gap is the gap they point to and say, see, we're not paid as much as men. I don't think it's fair to ask an employer to pay your way for 2 friggin' years. It's why women don't get hired at jobs. It's because they look at you and go, well, you're going to have a kid and fly the hell out of here and I'm supposed to pay your maternity leave for 2 years? No thanks. No thanks. What? I wouldn't hire a woman based on that. I wouldn't want you to have a kid and be living on my dime. And there's no obligation to come back to work. So even if I do hold your space for you that time, and I gotta hire another person to take your place, then I have to offer you the job back. Well, it's not fair. It's not fair. There's got to be a better compromise. And it's not like women can't control their reproductive cycles now. It was different in the 60s prior to the pill. Yeah, that was an issue, okay? It was unfair that a woman would get knocked up and unexpectedly and, have to lose their job and their benefits, whatever. But now that is just not, the technology's there. Ladies, you can control that stuff. And really, some women would argue that you could always control it. So this pay gap thing is it's just annoying. Just annoying. It's and then the fact that Megan is in the women's soccer league and they don't get paid as much as the men. Gee, I wonder why. Who watches women's sports? Well, people are going to start watching it once you get all the trans athletes to start shattering all your records and make it as competitive as the men's. So sure, just give it time, Megan. I'm sure once you get about 10 trans women on your team, you won't be able to get arrested in your sport anymore. Glenn Greenwald exposes how left-wing journalists use false victimhood to shield themselves from criticism. Yeah, well, we kind of know this. I mean, the journalists are a bunch of snowflakes. They're on Twitter screaming every day about nonsense. I mean, it's the state of journalism. I thought it was bad back in the 90s. I got arrested. I got interviewed by some reporters who couldn't get my story right. My very simple story, my very simple pitch. Sometimes I would actually write out the story for them and hand it to them, and they'd still get it wrong. They're terribly lazy people. I've only met a couple of them that were competent. A couple of them are competent. The vast majority of them just aren't. They're just not competent. They're terrible writers, and they're terrible at what they do. And these days, they're really not paid very well. So they're even worse now, because anybody who's worth their salt gets a job somewhere else. It's not the way it was, Still reeling from Trump-era policies, group demands Biden address deportation and refugees. Again, from NBC. I mean, it's like NBC is reporting from an alternate universe in which Biden's not a withered old man who can barely form a sentence, and we removed orange bad guy from Germany out of office. Fuel up, do more. Bowen Yang of SNL speaks out on anti-Asian hate. Because I know, when I think comedy, I think of a guy talking about activism. Jesus. I mean, SNL used to be so subversive, and look at it now. Now it couldn't be more woke and stupid. I don't know who's still watching it, but I guess enough people that they still keep throwing money at it. Treats for being a good, obedient citizen. Krispy Kreme and Junior's offers freebies for those who receive beer virus vaccine. Can't bribe me with a donut, Krispy Kreme, no matter how delicious they are. Plus, they're only like $1.98 or something. I can afford a donut. Cher rages over Georgia voter integrity law. Getting a little late on this one, Cher. Republican politicians are evil, soulless bigots. Blah, blah, blah. Cher. Activists want far-right streamer Nick Fuentes kicked off the internet. It might be impossible. Chicago Tribune. I sincerely doubt it, because big tech has been kicking lots of people off the internet. But this kind of push for it is unbecoming of a newspaper, Chicago Tribune. That you say it might be impossible rather than this shouldn't happen to anyone is sickening. Another woman accuses Andrew Cuomo of kissing her without consent. Another day, another Cuomo sexual harassment charge. I mean, I think he's over a dozen now, someone said. That's crazy. I mean, that's a lot of charges. How is this guy still in office if he's got that many women screaming about him? Seems like it's time for him to go. Brian Kemp, Stacey Abrams making money off election bill disinformation. Yeah, nobody cares now, Kemp. Even the Republicans want you gone for what you did to Trump, so boo-hoo. Kristi Noem, so cute. Kristi Noem successfully kills bill to protect women's sports. Legislature falls 2 votes short of override. What? She killed the bill? I thought she promoted the bill. We gotta click on this one. We're gonna have to click on this one, doggy. Let's read it from the National File. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem has successfully killed House Bill 1217, which would have prevented biological males from competing in women's sports, with her not a veto veto on Monday. South Dakota House of Representatives fell 2 votes short of the 47 needed to a successful veto override, making the legislation dead on arrival. Fairness and Women's Sort bill fails in the SD House. State Rep Fred Deutsch announced on Monday needed 47 votes to override the governor's veto. We got 45. We'll come back next year and try again. Oh, that's a shame. No one was under scrutiny for comments during an interview on Tucker Carlson Tonight television show and elsewhere, including "I've been bullied by the left for years. Now there's bullies on the right too." Oh, I thought she was pushing this bill. Well, that's sad. Given that the House action, I cannot certify the bill conforms with my specific recommendation, Noam wrote. Therefore, my only option is consistent with the Constitution is the fail to certify the bill and return it to you. Seems like, I don't know. I haven't read the bill, so I don't know the details. Seems like that would be a good bill. But guess I'll have to try next year. Library workers upset diversity training didn't scapegoat white people. From WND and the College Fix. This looks like another interesting one to click on, Dougie. Workers at the Free Library of Philadelphia, I know that library, came away cheesed at a diversity training session in which the presenter told them to steer clear terms of white supremacy and systematic racism because they're overused. Interesting. According to the Philadelphia Inquirer, diversity consultant, Brandy Baldwin, who is black and got her doctorate from nearby Temple University, also informed participants to avoid white privilege, noting the concept is, quote, one of the other myths out there. Oh, good for you. Such terminology, Baldwin said, didn't account for the fact that people of color, too, could cause harm. She asked the attendees to consider, are all the inequities you experience at the hands of white people? Wow, good for you. Good for you. Brandy, you are knocking it out of the park. So obviously, since she is sane, and she also happens to be black, the woke white people got infuriated. Of course. Said some of our ideas were divorced from reality and seem to want to placate white people who feel uncomfortable with concepts like white privilege. Nobody gives an F about that nonsense. Stop doing it. You're just a library. Loan books, shut up. Bad Girls Club star Shayla Harris killed in Virginia Beach shooting. Oh my God. I didn't know what Bad Girls Clubs is, but apparently it's a TV show. Apparently one of the stars has been killed. That's crazy. Virginia Beach. Didn't know it was nasty on Virginia Beach, but apparently. Senators demand records from FBI, Secret Service on Hunter Biden's gun incident. Yeah, good luck with that one. Biden's going to pull out every stop he can to protect his son, I'm sure. That'll be the one thing he can do and will do. But Godspeed, senators. I hope you at least tarnish him enough to shame him into, I don't know, at least acknowledging his son needs help. But we'll see. News host. Biden will see ISIS burning people in cages if he pulls troops out of Afghanistan. That's from MSNBC's Joe Scarborough. A guy who pretends to be conservative, I guess. And likes endless war. If we hadn't gone there and F things up, that place would probably be fine right now. And you just want to continue to effing it up. Continue all this nonsense just so defense contractors can line their pockets. Stop. Stop. For God's sakes, pull the troops out. Bring the troops home. You're going to break us financially. Okay? That's what's going to happen. We will go broke trying to maintain these bases all over the world. We don't need them. We don't need them. We have nuclear weapons. We do not need them. We have satellites. We have drones. We can cover the planet. oh, but we need troops in Afghanistan. Afghanistan is in the 13th century. Most of the country. You know what? You know what a job is in Afghanistan? Firewood collector. That's an actual job in Afghanistan. That's an actual job that people have. They go into the woods and they collect firewood. That's a pretty old, backwards country, if you ask me. Okay? They live in the mountains. They have a very rough life. They don't have time for your nonsense. Stop blowing these people up and leave them alone. Bring our troops home, please. At least 30 shot over the weekend in Mayor Lightfoot's Chicago. Is there anybody left in Chicago that hasn't been shot? I mean, at this point, my God. I wrote a comedy news article once. Everyone in Chicago was murdered. And that like all its residents were murdered, and a FedEx guy came into Chicago to deliver a package and discovered all the millions of bodies. That's almost not far from the truth at this point. My God, can you get rid of these mayors? Can you please put some sensible laws in your city to stop these murderous killings? And all you have to do is arm the populace, and voila, like magic, the murders will stop. Teacher tells father of fears for his life over Prophet Muhammad Rao. Oh, this is the teacher in the UK that showed a picture of the Prophet Muhammad in his class, in a class about blasphemy, and he's had to go into hiding. It's terrible. It's terrible. Low Cedars, we're talking about that today. It's still a freaking mess. You've got some people have come out for the teacher, but very weakly. It's like the First Amendment's dying. Free speech is dying. They don't have the First Amendment there. They have free speech unions, but they don't have a constitution. And the Lotus Eaters would love to see it. I wish I could get you one, guys. DHS readies welcome for 800,000 family migrants. Great. That's not too many people at once. College Democrats are trying to ban Fox News personality from campus. Oh, which one? Tommy Lauren? I don't even know that one. Isn't he like a clothing designer? Am I confusing him with someone else? Am I confusing him with Tommy Hilfiger, I think? I mean, who cares? Who cares? College Democrats. Now they're in on it. Great. Now they're activists too. Yeah, they used to sort of kind of be normal, but not anymore, right? Texas COVID numbers fall for the 17th consecutive day following reopening. Yeah, let's just keep masking up, Biden. Idiot. Woke philosopher Michael Foucault. Wow. I don't know if I can say this on YouTube, but apparently the French postmodernist Michael Foucault, whose name we drop multiple times in Wokistan, a novel, because he is one of the key figures from the postmodernist movement, who is probably responsible for the woke nonsense we're dealing with today, the cancerous wokeness, according to this claim, did horrible things with children, I'll say. I gotta read that one later. GOP Senator Braun, lack of humanity at Mexico border, shocking. Well, when you consider how many people are crossing every day, and people just got to deal with it as best they can. 2,000 migrants released in Texas on honor system. Oh yeah, that'll work. Most of this stuff is from yesterday. Ooh. Yeah, this is looking about it. Suez Canal thing is finally over. I don't know why people even cared. Really, the Suez Canal, that was a thing? I mean, I get it. It was a mess, but people acted like the world was coming to an end. Matt Taibbi challenges Joe Scarborough to debate after MSNBC host hints Russia hoax. Critics are on Putin payroll. I would love to see that. I hope Taibbi would destroy him. He would absolutely destroy him. Go for it, Matt. I wish you well. If you haven't followed Matt Taibbi on Substack, you really ought to. He's really good. Him and Glenn Greenwald, they're really great reporters. Support him if you can. And finally, Durham taking his time to probe the origins of the Russian investigation as Trump vents frustration. Yeah, I don't know if this is going anywhere because let's say he finds something. Who's he going to report it to? Biden? The DOJ? Who's being, with guys appointed by Biden running? I mean, there's no support. There's no support. So let's say he has all the evidence. The DOJ could just bury it all or say, oh, it's not enough. I mean, that's the system these people have created. When Hillary Clinton broke the law by destroying her hard drives and other evidence, nothing happened. Nothing happened. And in fact, they worked harder to get her off so they wouldn't have to explain that. So I have no hope for the Durham probe. I'm sorry. It's just, at the best, he'll accumulate a bunch of info, which will get buried somewhere, and then maybe it comes out like when Trump is president again, or DeSantis gets in, or something like that 20 years from now, to prove that everybody was an a-hole that we already knew, and most of them will be dead by then. That's where this is headed. It's headed to 20 years from now, after most of the major figures are dead. Oh, shocking. Shockingly enough, Donald Trump was right about everything, and all these people tried to destroy his life. And now they're all dead. Oh, well. Meanwhile, whatever current person fighting the establishment is losing, they'll say, this is different. This isn't the same as Donald Trump. No, 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 no. Anyhow, hate to be so cynical. But that's it for the news today. Hope you enjoyed it. Joan and I gotta go. We're doing stuff. Right, Joan? Right, little Joan? Oh, you're so tired. Did 2 walkies today. Smash like and subscribe, etc., etc. Look for the Pineys Book 6 coming out in the next couple of days. I got it posted. I messed up the pricing on the ebook. I have to change that. But other than that, should be up within a day or two. I'll have some videos on it. See ya.